The United States was devastated by the Dust Bowl. This six-year crisis emerged in the early 1930s and turned large sections of the Great Plains into barren fields. When University of Chicago researchers simulated the 1930s Dust Bowl on the USA's modern crops, which are selectively bred for resilience and have modern infrastructure, they discovered that it would still cause at least $50 billion of damage even today. So what did that damage look like? Fierce winds lifted loose soil high into the air and created ominous dark clouds. Plains residents struggled through dust that choked cattle and blanketed entire towns. Then, farmers endured staggering losses when banks foreclosed on properties that no longer produced crops. People lost income. Business owners folded their doors. The disaster uprooted families who relied on wheat, corn, and other staples for their livelihood. Trucks packed with all of a household's possessions often lined the roads out of Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Colorado, and New Mexico. Entire communities suffered hunger and homelessness. How on earth did a dust bowl cause all this damage? Initially, it started because settlers plowed away native grasses on the plains and left topsoil vulnerable to a fierce drought. Farmers planted extra acreage to boost harvests, but that destroyed the last bits of natural cover. With no rain, fields turned to dust under scorching sun. Winds whipped up swirling soil that blackened skies. Storms, also called black blizzards, swept massive clouds of dirt from the plains into eastern states. The infamous Black Sunday event in April 1935 blotted out daylight and forced residents indoors. Families blocked windows with wet rags or sheets but never kept the grit out. On top of that, children wore masks at school and parents swept piles of dust every morning. Survivors wrote about wind-shredding wheat fields and uprooting any hope of a harvest. That ordeal sparked hoarding and frugal habits. Families stretched meals by turning scraps into stews and stored even the tiniest leftovers. The children who grew up in that era learned to guard every penny and save old jars, nails, and clothing for future use. These habits have lasted even until today. The farmers who lost their land started fresh in other regions. Many migrants drove west on Route 66 and settled in California. Local residents often resented these arrivals, so newcomers struggled in makeshift camps. People labeled them Okies even if they came from states beyond Oklahoma. Some stayed on the plains and adapted, but production never fully returned to pre-crisis levels on eroded acres. The Dust Bowl finally ended in 1936 when new rainfall finally arrived. So, do you think a drought like this could ever occur again? Why or why not?